The South Bank Show, in association with UBS.
Tonight on the South Bank Show, Bond, James Bond.
Hello, Mr. Bond, I've been expecting you. Martini in your hand, and that eyebrow that you move. Don't take this the wrong way, I know it might sound odd. I'm the next 00, I'm the right man for the job. So I wish I was James Bond, just for the day, kissing all the girls, blow the bad guys away.
You're looking extraordinarily composed and that, but there's a lot of it is running, fighting, jumping.
I'm just trying to keep it together to talk to you, I think. That's what it is. I suppose I just made a decision early on, rightly or wrongly, whether or not when I got involved, was that I wanted to be as physically involved as I possibly could. I enjoy it. I get a big kick out of it. It's a physical, demanding role.
The more you're involved in those physical sides, does it make you feel you've got a bigger grip on the part?
It makes me feel sore. That's basically all it does. Bond has always been something incredibly physical in my mind. Sean's movies were dynamic and balletic almost, the way the sort of the violence and the action was done. And I thought I want to be involved with that. I want to be involved with that at every level because it's crucially important. It's what people go to the movie to watch.
The essence of it for me was always to make everything look easy, simple, so that when there was any movement, it was kind of important. It was the message that something was coming. When you take somebody on physically to be able to do the dance is the movement. Like with Diamonds Are Forever, and we'd whole choreographed fight in an elevator. Made one mistake, baff, and it was him and not me, thank God. And he knocked the window out.
For me, it was the styles of the movie, the way they looked, the feeling that they gave off. To my father's generation, it was very much a post-war thing. But someone coming along who defined a generation, or at least gave hope to a generation that was feeling particularly battered and bruised after the Second World War. And then along came this lone hero. And it was Sean, and it was, this magnificent man who just, that's the person every male wanted to be.
Stop! Look! He's gunning for trouble. 007. It spells Bond.
Shocking.
I think ever since the movies first appeared on the screens in the 60s, they created a new kind of cinematic genre, and I think that has lasted for several decades. And often you'll pick up the newspaper and they'll refer to a villain as being someone who's Bondian or some extraordinary piece of architecture that looks like it could be on a Bond set.
Action.
I think it's very flattering to all the people who originally started this series, my father, Cubby Broccoli, and his partner, Harry Saltzman, and obviously Ken Adam, who's an extraordinary designer.
This is the design of the interior of the volcano, which is the headquarters of our villain.
The 60s and late 50s was a renaissance of all the arts in this country, and Bond was one part of it. The 60s were when the British took off their handcuffs and said, fuck, the empire, it doesn't exist any longer. Now we will take over. And so I let myself go, and always tongue-in-cheek, but tried to reflect the era that we were living in, and maybe slightly ahead, of that time.
$1 million, Mr. Bond.
In a way, I think Dr. No set the style for the rest of the Bond films.
Underneath the mango tree, my honey and me.
Who's that?
It's all right. I'm not supposed to be here either. I take it you're not. Are you alone?
What are you doing here? Looking for shells?
No, I'm just looking.
Why do you think Dr. No was such a phenomenal success?
Well, I think the timing is always the case with movies, and it did come along at the end of the kind of kitchen sink dramas. It was still a bad time in Britain, not great. So many people identified with somebody getting away with all these dollies and the food and a matter of killing. Well, you're licensed to kill. I think it's a side of it that's it's very much a fantasy. And I still get stuff, sent to me, and notes and sexiest man alive and all that stuff.
Miss Moneypenny, give 007 the password we've agreed with Japanese SIS.
Yes, sir. We tried to think of something that you wouldn't forget.
Yes.
I love you. Repeat it, please, to make sure you get it.
Don't worry. I get it.
It's the most extraordinary part, Bond, to take on. World fame, almost from the beginning, and it being inhabited by several other actors. How did that affect your thinking when they asked you to do Bond?
I said no. Honestly, I came along and I thought it was a very nice joke. I mean, I thought it was a nice idea and something to go and discuss. And certainly, I felt honoured that they should even think about me. But it wasn't. It just wasn't on the cards.
What really tipped the balance then?
Really, it came down to, and it was my own decision. I asked. I mean, I obviously took counsel and with everybody, with every friend and every relative that would listen. If I didn't do it, how would I feel in 10 years' time? And that was just the only, and that was just, I couldn't live with myself.
What makes Daniel so accessible is that he's a cracking good actor. And he looks wonderful. I mean, you can say this about nearly all the Bonds, can't you? All good actors, and they all look wonderful. And I'm lucky enough to boss them around. It was the same, I think, for Pierce. The responsibility of playing James Bond seems to me to be unbelievably onerous. People feel very proprietorial about James Bond, so everybody has their own ideas about him.
Good afternoon, ma'am.